Well, welcome everybody to a special conversation with Bill Carter. It's not a normal conversation. This is going to be a special conversation, and it is kind of a special conversation because the guests today are two special people. This is the this is the creative team between CNN's really fascinating and I think growingly popular show called "Have I Got News for You," which plays on Saturday nights and has a fantastic roster of talent. And let me introduce the guests. We have Jim Biederman, who has a long history in shows like Kids in the Hall, and he worked in Howard Stern, and most notably, he worked on the British. He has brought the British show after multiple efforts, as we as we recall in a previous conversation, to America. It is a British show, in case you don't know. And Jodi Lennon, who was a performer, a Second City performer, has worked on shows like Billy in the Street and At Home with Amy Sedaris, and is obviously a writing force and a creative force. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the
Thank
podcast.
you.
Thanks.
Yeah. And we have chatted before about the show during its first year.
Yep.
And I'm sure you're happy to be back for a second year. Not that you knew what to expect, but so what have you learned in the first year, guys? What do you think you've learned from the first year?
Oh, that's a good question. The news moves fast, to say the least.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else have we learned, Jim?
Well, so Jimmy Melville, who created the show, who owns Hat Trick Productions in England,
Yes.
also a prominent independent production company. So he knows the show backwards and forwards. It's been on the air for 35 years there and continues to be a top rating show on Friday nights there. And, we've talked about how the mood just gets darker and darker and darker in this country. And the last 2 weeks have been very dark. And how do you pick your battles comedically? Because we should start the whole thing by saying we are, and we don't use this as an excuse, we are a comedy show. I mean, that is
Yes.
what we are. We're not a news show in any way, even though we have news in the title. We do serve a purpose for a lot of people who, unlike us nerds, don't spend every waking hour looking at the news.
Right.
So when an audience member comes in and they usually learn stuff, probably stuff they don't want to learn, and so that's where the comedy comes in. We lessen the blow, right? So how do you do comedy? How do you pick your battles? How do you pick your topics? Like I said, this last 2 weeks were very challenging for all of us, not just our show, but all the late night shows. How do you talk about what happened? What are your targets? Do you just ignore it?
Yeah.
And so that's a lot harder than the first season, because up to that point, I would say we only had if we were on for 20 episodes last year, which we were, or in kind of broadcast year, fall to spring, only half of those shows had Trump as president.
Right.
So halfway through our first 10, we knew he had won, and it was still all fun and games. And then the second 10, right? So February to whatever we went to, became increasingly more. I mean, on the one hand, from a comedic point of view, it's shooting fish in a barrel. No pun intended. But at the same time, it just gets darker and darker and darker. So you really have to figure out, what am I going to say in this joke? How am I saying this joke? Who's the angle on my joke? I mean, everything becomes heightened importance of how you do it.
And only a portion of our show is written. It's a panel show. So we can present stories, we can frame them any way we want, or the best way we think. But at the end of the day, it's a conversation between a group of people. So, which we don't control. So that is one of the pieces that's complicated too.
The luxury we have is we tape for 2 hours and edit down. So when people say, and we say this to our guests, look, say whatever you want. It's fine. One of two things will happen. You're going to come up to us at the end of the episode and the taping and say, that thing
pull it
Yeah.
out.
No problem. This is not a gotcha show, so
Right.
no problem. It doesn't make us look good to make you look bad. So, and the other thing is, we do make editorial choices lots of times for time.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's things that are just too over the edge,
Yeah.
sad in conversation. But I think what translates on the air is what seems like a very, and it is, freewheeling conversation. And the reason it does is because it is a freewheeling conversation.
Yeah.
We've trimmed it.
I think spontaneity kind of is essential to make
Correct.
it really work.
Correct.
We should point out for people who don't know that you have 3 regular cast members. You have Roy Wood Jr. is your anchor, I guess you
Sure,
might,
He's
that's
our
good.
might
host.
call him.
Host, yeah.
Your anchor and your host, and Amber Ruffin and Michael Ian Black are your other regulars, all of whom are very funny people.
Yeah.
They're
So
fantastic.
so you have Roy doing essentially a monologue to start, and so there you have jokes written, etc. And then your panelists are witty people who come in with their own comments, and then you have 2 guests. Often some sort of political person. Is it always a political person? I mean,
Usually, or
We try.
journalist, or
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah, somebody who knows the news.
and then a comedian or someone else on the panel, and then there's a sort of faux game element to it, which
Yeah.
is just for fun. So if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. It's very entertaining. So particularly, you mentioned how dark it's been, Jim, and we had an assassination,
hmm
which was awful, and then we had the whole business with Jimmy Kimmel, which
hmm
was clearly a threat, I guess, to anybody in comedy. I don't know if you guys felt that way, but it certainly was his point of view and many others' point of view. I don't know how that affected you guys at all, if at all. What did you?
We haven't talked about this. How have you felt? Because
About
we're just busy getting a show done,
I
so we don't
know.
have time, unfortunately, to say, "Ugh, I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it."
Yeah, it's we haven't checked in. Thanks for checking in now, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I can't
About our
stand
own
her, so I don't
feelings.
really want to know what she's thinking.
It has felt like freedom of speech is being threatened, and so that has been super depressing. But I do think that we've been doing a great job with how we've been carving out those conversations. And to your point, Roy, Amber, and Michael, last week's episode, they talked about it eloquently, hilariously. What other adverbs do I have? But it's just, they were really good at how they spoke about the situation.
And we had Adam Kinzinger, who's a
Right.
former Republican and who is also quite eloquent
He
about.
jumped in. He jumped in a lot.
Yeah,
Frankly,
yeah.
he did. Yeah,
We've had him on before. He's a really interesting guest.
Yeah.
Because I think at one point, Amber turns to him and says, ever since you left Congress, you just talk mad shit, and I love it.
That's right.
And he says, I'm free. And we've
Yeah.
had that other Charlie Dent. We had Charlie Dent
Oh, yeah.
on from Pennsylvania. And
Yeah.
he said at one point, and he was all over, it was hilarious. And someone said, how come you're not like this when you were? And he said, I'm free. And it's this, honestly, it feels a little, unfortunately, damning about our political process that
Yeah.
the people who are in it, when they leave, feel, and these are the words they use, free. I'm out of prison.
Yeah.
All those metaphors.
They can speak openly.
Yeah, and it's a shame. That said, now put on all the other stuff on top of that, and it's a heavy weight. I think the week after the Charlie Kirk assassination, and even last week, I would wake up every morning thinking like, is that joke too far? Like it's more so than normal.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the one question that's looming over all this is the idea that comedy is going to be chilled by threats or just by self-censorship.
Probably more to the case.
Yeah, that may be more the case because you have to walk this line. What is offensive? What isn't offensive? And it's not. None of it was. I don't think Jimmy Kimmel said anything offensive. By the way, I think people interpreted what he said as insensitive, maybe. But of course, he has the right to do that anyway.
Correct.
We should stipulate. But in your guys' case, you can edit it out. You can say if one of your guests, for example, says something that you feel like is really not exactly.
Usually it's Michael Ian Black, by the way.
And to be clear, it's not, we don't cut like really controversial stuff from the show. It's not, it's a really rare occasion. If Jenny Hagel once said something bad about Pokemon cards, and she wanted it cut from the show because it would hurt her son's feelings. And so it's more things like that. It's not, and maybe we should cut that from this episode.
I was going to say, I took note at the top of the show last week. Everybody was playing the same game that the late night guys did about the phone call. Oh, we have to not say that. We can't do that. They were like making fun of the chill. So that is,
which I think is a great. I think it's it's going back to Jimmy Melville. He will repeatedly say to me, "Dictators hate comedy. It's a stronger weapon for them than an actual weapon, because if you devalue their image, and that's what comedy does, they feel power. They feel their power is being taken away, and then they scramble. So you run that risk of doing what you're doing in the service of ideally democracy, and then their pushback is going to be harder and harder. I want to say one thing about where we are, the context of where our show exists. We're on a news channel,
right,
which is a lot different than being on ABC or NBC or any of those, even Comedy Central. And so to that extent, on Monday through Friday, I mean, Abby Phillips' show is, I would say, much more contentious than ours. Laura Coates Live. Yeah. But, and this is that double-edged sword. Yeah, but you're doing comedy, and that's worse. Like, you're making fun of this. These people are having serious conversation. And CNN never says that. But that is the internal monologue going, well, on Abby Phillips, they talk about it. On her show, they talk about it.
They go deeper into these conversations than we do.
Yeah.
We have conversations, and then it's a beat of a piece, and then we go on to, because again, there's so much news, and then we go on to another topic that's, just it can be just as complicated. Venezuela, or I mean, it's wild the amount of news that we're talking about.
Exactly.
And, but on the other panel shows that are on CNN, because they're, there's no comedy around it.
Intentionally.
That those shows go into them deeper.
And so I would say psychologically and editorially, from a perspective of the CNN, we're not that different from the rest of their shows. So it's very refreshing to be on that channel with this show. And then they run repeats of Bill Maher from their sister channel, HBO, from Friday nights, which does very, very well. And same thing. It's a panel. It is kind of a panel universe that they live in, which is, I will say, in selling the show over the last 20 years, it is that thing where in England they have panel shows. We used to in the 50s and 60s, and we don't. It's like it's been erased from our memory.
Yeah.
And so, like, for instance, the gameplay, which is BS. No one points.
Yeah,
no one
nobody wins anything.
No.
There are no points kept.
I think I told you this last time. I did a Graham Norton panel show for BBC America, and we had Cyndi Lauper was one of our guests. And before the taping started, Graham made a joke that, answer correctly because you're going to win a car, which of course everyone laughed except for Cyndi Lauper. She said, "Really?" And he said, "No, Cindy." She goes, "Don't joke with Americans about winning cars." And that to me was like, that is the essence of the difference. But CNN's, that's their trade, stock and trade.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect fit.
I did like when Taylor Tomlinson had her panel show.
Yeah.
One week the prize was the approval of her father. I thought that.
I mean, that's what
some
we're
may
all
say
after.
that could be worth more than a car, but I don't know.
I mean, secretly, that's all what we're hoping for.
I mean, I'm still going to go for the car. I think and it was also good for us to see After Midnight succeed.
Yeah.
In because again, you have an audience that just not used to that vocabulary.
Right.
But it's very fast to learn.
Yeah. But I have to say, because I've been on Abby Phillips' show, that that's a shouting match.
Yeah.
That's discomforting
Yeah.
to me, and I think to many viewers. You can't actually hear what the people are even saying.
No, but I think then that comes full circle to how do you deal with this fire hose of news? And I think
Absolutely.
the American approach is to basically do a skirmish. It's a
Yeah.
football match, and
Exactly.
you just let them, and until you call time, they're just going to go at each other.
But
Yeah.
Abby's so great at
She's
making
really good at
sure
it. She's really
each
good at it.
person, she is the the
Yes.
conductor.
Yes,
And so
she's
she
very good.
does make sure each person completes their thoughts and gets back to somebody else, which
That's a talent. Yeah.
really,
It's a skill.
great.
Well, you mentioned the fire hose. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so you have Jimmy Kimmel coming back this week. You have the UN speech telling people that their countries are going to hell. You have a screaming attack on Tylenol. You have them in.
You mean acetaminophen?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
And also you have now James Comey about to be indicted. You have him ordering his district attorney basically go after his.
Yeah.
This is not at a pitch. It's unimaginable. Usually you can find the story of the week, kind of.
Yeah.
Not under him, and especially not now.
No. And the show, exactly like the UK version, we cover the news of the week.
Yes.
So it is that, that potpourri that you just explained. You broke it down, and
That's a good word for it, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it sound like it smells better.
Well, it is fall, and I just feel like when in doubt, throw some potpourri in a pot with a little hot water,
like dried rose petals.
and just these are the moments that help us.
I want to follow.
I woke to so perfect example.
Yeah,
I woke up to a text from Jodi this morning.
Oh, you were still asleep? Huh. I guess I work harder.
I'm poetic license. I was already up vomiting. So
how he starts every day.
Just get it out of the way. How are we dealing? Do you want to handle the James Comey story today? Like, where do we put it in? And the conversation then with Mason Steinberg, our head writer, in a 3-way text is, where do we put it? Like, if the show's already too much.
So we're just pitching where it can go. And then one of the problems we have is we only have 2 hours to tape the show. So then it is, and you don't want to pack the show with clips and pull quotes and jokes, because at the end of the day, you want to lob out these questions or these topics so that everybody can talk about them.
Yeah. Which
is one of the advantages of our show. It's just, I can't, stress it enough. It's just these incredible combinations of people. Like, we had Jasmine Crockett and Dave Foley, and then Roy, Amber, and Michael talking about really tough stories in the smartest, funniest way.
Yeah. I want to ask Jodi, because when I spoke to you last year, one thing you said to me was, we don't want to be too Trump centric. And I'm like, good luck.
Yeah. Well, now that's changed.
When she said that, she was lying.
Now that's changed. The good news is, there's a whole cast of characters that surround him.
Yes.
And they are very rich with personalities and a strong voice.
It's a wrestling universe of their cabinet.
There are others.
So I mentioned the chill. I mean, irrespective of your show, because I think Jim, you point out the news thing, I think gives you a little more freedom maybe than
cover. A little more
cover. Do you think other shows are going to be chilled by this? I don't mean overtly even. I mean, somewhat. You guys know writers. I mean,
sure.
They have to think about, will this joke get us, our license threatened? I mean, I don't know if they're doing that. I really don't. I think Jimmy Kimmel showed he's not doing that, right? Like he's come out.
I feel like all shows have shown they're not doing that.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's been coming back with the same amount of, or not even coming back. They're operating from the same place with vim and vigor. It seems like.
I'm very curious to see how SNL comes. I'm very curious to see how they handle.
That's going to be my next question. I mean, you would think, talk about a fire hose. Their first opening sketch of this season is going to be incredibly anticipated. What do they do in the light of all of this? And by the way, the week they go on, there's liable to be another gigantic development.
I mean, SNL does always walk that line, but I think it also Lauren knows when to kind of
He
not
does.
cover stuff.
Yes, he does. Yeah,
And
and
I
he
don't know
also
where that comes from, but I think I worked at Broadway Video for 9 years under
Mhm.
Mr. Michaels, and I think that it was never you could never figure out what his take was going to be.
That's
Um,
true.
and
Mhm.
it's usually correct. I think there's usually we don't need to touch it now. We do a lot of that stories. We can do that next week. Like this story's
Yeah.
this story's, we're too young in this story's, growth period right now. Let it grow up a little bit and
Right.
we'll attack it next
But
week.
like Comey has a deadline right
Yeah.
now. So it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
Tuesday is that's it. They
you
can't
can
push it,
Deadline for
tell.
him.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that uh, to answer the question, I yeah, we've heard some people say you have to be more mindful about where you aim your joke at.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone, and the kind of sad but beautiful part about the whole ABC Kimmel thing is it's all about money. It just
Yeah.
comes down to money. And when
Absolutely.
you break it down like that, the fear of being silenced is much less because when you go, oh, it's about the money, there's too much money at stake for all parties that they're not going to go that place. And by the way, JD Vance last night claimed that Brendan Carr was just joking.
I saw
You
that.
can tell,
Yes.
which I love that.
I love that. Yes.
I'm going to say that for everything. Anyway,
And
so
I bring this up to Jim sometimes too. Is like when things like this happened, we're forced to hear news reporters or journalists
yeah.
talk about the state of comedy or what a joke is,
hmm
which is just the worst. It's
hmm
just like when people try to break down, oh, it was a joke or this is a joke or where the joke is coming from or where it's aimed. It's awful.
But going back to the money thing, look, this is Sinclair and
Next star.
Nexstar
Yeah.
and Tegna.
Yeah.
Sinclair. There's people don't talk about this. Sinclair wanted Tegna.
Yes.
Nexstar got Tegna in a bid. So now Sinclair and Nexstar are kind of frenemies in this situation, but they are very much. Sinclair is still suing Nexstar about that bid.
Yeah.
So there's all that. Then there's ABC and the Disney Channel and the Disney World and all that means. But and we talked about this earlier this week. My advice to ABC is go in and say, hey, we have a contract for these affiliates. So
Absolutely.
you can preempt the program 5 times as per our contract. In 1 week, you will have violated our contract.
Right.
So we're going to fine you for that. Also, we agree with you. There's no reason why, you should be forced into airing our stuff. So we're going to remove all of our ABC primetime material from you until you've come to your set. Boom, it's over. And what you
Absolutely.
can already see Sinclair saying and Nexstar saying, we're talking.
That's right. Exactly. And I've been making that point in the interviews. The power rests with the network here.
Correct.
It does not rest with the affiliates. They
No.
have to have that programming.
Correct.
They take Monday Night Football away from that group of stations. They will be stormed with pitchforks. So they really don't have any power.
I think all the fans of the MASH reruns would be happy, but that's about it.
That's about it. I do want to say, though, since you mentioned Brendan Carr, you ought to have him as a guest. The guy is so deadpan funny. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
he can sit there and say, you can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Right.
And man, it feels like a threat, not a joke. That's
Yeah, we should get him on. I mean, since you're a comic, we should have you on, Brendan.
exactly. He's such a funny guy.
But that's such a classic. When the Trump administration knows they've overstepped, when they say, no, it was a joke.
Exactly. Exactly.
So to go all the way to the beginning of the question, I think once that happened, people are like, oh, okay, fine, sure. And I feel, wherever you stand politically, the minute you get cautious is the minute you start losing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so getting back to us, I think, again, what's drilled into our heads from the Brits, you're a comedy show, you're a comedy show, you're a comedy show.
Yeah.
We embrace that because there's this, when you watch British panel shows, and it doesn't matter just ours or Would I Lie to You or any, there is a comic joy in these shows. You love watching the jokes. You love watching the interaction. Yes. You love watching these people who you either know or don't know make each other laugh. And there's a real human basis thing where you just go, it's so much fun to watch.
Yes.
And so we don't ever want to lose that. And I think when our episodes really sing, they feel joyful, despite what the news is.
Yes, but you hear a person get off a good spontaneous joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And it kills not just in the audience, but in the panel.
Correct.
100%.
There's a real pleasure in that.
Yeah. You know? And so we never want to lose that. But we also don't want to, put on, kitten mitts.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Whatever
the expression is.
When I say
Whatever the expression is.
about you have a 2-hour taping, right?
Yeah.
The audience is there for 2 hours?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that is a big
no
ask.
bathroom breaks.
Right.
That is kind of a big
they're
ask,
strapped in and a la Clockwork Orange, we keep their eyes open.
But they do, everyone, the energy in the room is fantastic.
They want to be there.
Yeah.
And they love being part of the conversation and seeing it. And Jim and I are on the floor and we watch, and Mason's in the booth and we take notes because we're about to edit that evening. And the audience leaves and they're like, I don't know how you're going to cut that down. Jim and I always joke because Friday night we're like, oh, when we leave the edit at, some crazy hour, it's usually like, oh, we have so much more.
I don't know what we got.
We have so much more to cut. And so we show up Saturday morning early, but it's such a puzzle because there are so many great moments that happen in those tapings and the audience is part of it. They keep the energy up.
They are very involved. You can hear, I don't know if it always picks up on the mics, but we'll show a clip. Usually someone hanging themselves basically. And you'll hear like, oh,
yeah.
or ooh, or boo, or that. And I think that we don't stop them. We don't, it's fine. But I think that's part of it. They really want to be there. I think, you're either a huge Roy fan, or Amber fan, or Michael fan, or all three. And I think it gives them the same way it does it for our growing audience at home. And we see this on our YouTube channel comments all the time. I laughed so hard, and I know I shouldn't be because the news is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Job done.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're part of a community and you're all just like, what is happening?
Right.
But Roy and Amber and Michael also are great at keeping the energy up.
They play with the audience during the taping. Like if Michael's king of this, and Roy too, he'll tell a joke and it just kind of, and he'll turn around and say, fuck you, that was funny. And the audience gets, they're right back in. So it's very playful. Again, that joyful quality is something we never want to lose. And again, the audience is there. Is it that different than a regular taping, I think? Is it like they get there about an hour before?
I mean, the amount of time, the length of time people wait for a taping is probably the same, but the amount of, the length of the taping.
Yeah. So we're coming down to the last minute here. So here's my big question, which I think has been easier to answer in the past.
Jodi's a Libra.
I'm 5'3".
Okay.
There you
go. Is Donald Trump good for comedy?
Yes.
You know the answer to this, Bill.
Well, I think it's more mixed at the moment, but
yes, because he gives you an opponent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, there's the whole, you shoot up, you shoot down, all that stuff. But that language, you killed, you bombed.
Yes.
Comedy is a very violent, sharp elbow business.
Yes, it
is. Or contact sport, not violent. It's a contact sport.
Yeah.
And you're in it. And if you have an opponent who's not, who goes like, hey, what are you coming after me? It's not funny anymore.
Right.
But he's an incredible opponent. I mean, I don't think he understands why, but he's an incredible opponent. He gives you a brick wall to punch at.
But he can't take it.
But that's even better.
He can't take a joke.
That's even better. It's like because he's a bully, and everyone likes to see people take on bullies. So I say yes. Now, what do you say?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, and he's the character is there. It's a big personality. He's a very big personality, and he's surrounded by consistency when it comes to his traits. So
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
But on the Jasmine Crockett episode, Michael Black, who has a big bone to pick with Governor Newsom,
right,
So
Right.
just to be fair, he thinks he's kind of being a bully and taking advantage of the situation. So it wasn't a popular position to take,
Right.
but he's been consistent with that. And I think same thing. You can, particularly in politics.
I mean, that's it, right? Most political personalities are good for comedy
Yeah.
because who would want to get into politics?
Right.
Yeah.
Only to say I'm free when you're out.
Somebody with a big ego, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, politicians are
Yeah.
they're asking for it.
There are answers. Hey, this has been a great chat, guys. Love to talk to you guys. The show is Have I Got News for You? You really should watch it if you haven't discovered it yet.
CNN Saturday nights at 9 p.m. I'm supposed to say that.
It's a great show, and especially if you're news junkies, you can't miss it. So
Thank you so
guys.
much.
It's great to talk to you guys.